Hey everybody, we are here on the Sound of Inbound in our special summer series we're calling Unbound Unlocked, and we have two very cool folks today. So why don't you talk about them, Mark?
I think with Vic and with Jillian and with a lot of the people we'll have on Unbound Unlocked, what I'm really excited about is the fact that we're bringing insiders together. There's so many different types of HubSpot insiders and so many different things that they're going to all be doing at the show, and getting them together to talk about their ideas and talk about HubSpot as an evolving platform is really exciting.
Yep. So Jillian comes from an elite partner agency called Blue Frog, and Vic actually comes from a company called Pearson, and she also has her own entrepreneurial little business on the side that is super fun to hear about. So you should stick around and hear about that. She's also the first time visiting and attending the Unbound conference. So really cool to hear her perspectives. And Jillian, of course, is coming back for her 5th year. So she's hitting the 5-timers club.
Oh, yeah.
And I asked them if they would like make us smoking jackets so we can all like start to celebrate how many times we've been visiting Unbound.
You'd have like 3 jackets.
At this point,
Yeah.
yes, I would. That's 15.
Right.
Okay. All right. So here we are on the Sound of Inbound. Please join us as we welcome Jillian and Vic.
Unbound, unlocked, unbound, unlocked is where it's at. Unbound, unlocked, we're here to chat. It's all the things you want and more, so hang around, let's open that door.
Hello, everybody. We are here on the Sound of Inbound with our special summer series called Unbound Unlocked. And I have two very special guests joining me today. They are both going to be joining this year's conference as Unbound Insiders. And I have Jillian Olson and Victoria. And Victoria, I want to make sure I'm pronouncing your last name correctly. Is it Palacios?
Palacios.
Palacios. Okay, Palacios. So Jillian comes from a company called Blue Frog, and she is the director of research and training there. And Victoria, you are at Pearson working in customer success, but you also have your own venture called, is it Stogie Sesh? That's the name of your podcast. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it's fantastic that she's also her own entrepreneur and doing so many other things outside of just HubSpot. Really cool this year is that we have folks that join us on this podcast that don't have a lot of experience in HubSpot, but have been living in the ecosystem for at least a year. And that's the case with Vic here. And I think it's really cool to get her perspectives on going to a show for the very first time. And then for Jillian as well, I think she has some experience in HubSpot for 6 years. I think you told me right before the podcast started. And you're also returning to Unbound now. It used to be called Inbound, so we can talk about the perspectives of going from old to new. So first off, thank you so much for joining me here on today's podcast. I love it. So thank you both.
Great to be here.
Yes, it's great to have you both. So Jillian, maybe starting with you, just give us a little bit quick background on you at Blue Frog.
Yeah. So I've been at Blue Frog for about 6 years now. It's actually my first job right out of college. I was obsessed with data. So my first role was actually in like the data analyst side of things, looking at our clients' websites. Our clients naturally used HubSpot, so I just fell in love with the HubSpot platform and eventually became the person who knew everything and everything there is to know about HubSpot. So now my role is to make sure our entire company and our clients know how to get the most out of the system. That's kind of my evolution.
Victoria, she wants me to call her Vic. I'm going to call her Vic. We love your hat. I know that has nothing to do with anything, right? But give us a little quick take on your background, if you don't mind.
Sure. Well, first off, the hat has everything to do with everything because we are all just trying to make it through the day. Secondly, I have worked with Pearson, been with Pearson about 8 years. I'm also a full-time Western Governors University student, which is how I got involved with HubSpot. I've done about 5 HubSpot internships, all from last year, March. So very, very new to the HubSpot game.
And I'm assuming you've learned a lot since that time, yes?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've got to see the system we did a lot of the beta testing too. We were the guinea pigs for a few of the things that are in there now. So that was interesting and fun.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that a lot of people ask is if HubSpot has a tight or a very high learning curve. And so maybe just starting with you really quick before we get into some of the marketing speak. I mean, what's been the experience for you? Has it been a very tall learning curve, or do you feel like the user experience wasn't so hard for you?
I think when you initially get in there, it's just overwhelming if it's a system you've never used before, which it's one I've never used before. More so if you've never used a CRM, you're going to kind of freak out. But honestly, once you get over that little hump, it's easy. It's very user-friendly. Everything's kind of, for me, it's self-explanatory. So yeah, I enjoy it.
Jillian, how about for you?
Oh, I think it's one of the more user-friendly platforms out there. I kind of equate the difference with skiing. If you ever heard the difference between learning how to ski versus snowboard, HubSpot is like the skiing where it's easy to learn, a little more challenging to fully master. Like there's so much to it. Whereas snowboarding, it's hard to learn but easier to master. It's like I equate that to more of the Salesforce side. Like you're going to spend a lot of effort getting used to it before you can get anywhere. But HubSpot is so easy to just get started. But it takes a lot of digging and playing around and trial and error to really become a master of, I know exactly how to build this workflow the first time.
Yeah. So, okay. So what I thought to do, just get everybody get to know you both, is we do this little game. I mean, we just want to get your hot takes on some specific types of marketing themes and questions that I have. So bear with me with little hot takes.
Come on. It's time for some tasty hot takes.
So this is going to be just a couple of quick questions I have for you both, and you just jump right in with your opinion about it. Okay. So the first one here is, nothing is better than email marketing.
I agree. I think it's still a classic and it still works. I don't think anyone likes to answer phone calls anymore.
I mean, I agree with the fact that nobody likes phone calls anymore, but to be honest, my email marketing a lot of the times just ends up unread or in spam or another cyberspace that I don't even know exists.
Because, one of the interesting things about this question I just realized just now is that HubSpot actually started off as a system that was just meant for email marketing. And you're both taking a very different angle on where it comes from. Okay, next question. The future of search is asking, not searching.
Since I came from an SEO background, I think it's always been very question-based. It's just the way to go about searching wasn't to ask your question. It was to use fewer words. So I think just the way people are searching now is changed, but it's still the same underlying foundation, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. And how about you, Vic?
I find that I ask questions when I'm in my search. Like, I will ask a full-on question to Google or Gemini or whatever it is that I'm using. So yeah, I agree with that.
I think that AI is underutilized. So I feel like people might not realize that they could be having the open conversation with the tool that they're putting their standard search in. So it's not, I need to find a place for dinner. It could be so much more than that. So people don't realize they just putting that question into AI. But Google is trying to get people to think and realize you could switch modes and get a deeper conversation going, which is kind of an interesting way to teach the world how to use AI. All right, next one. PDFs are forever.
Oh gosh, I hope not. Like a living, breathing website page that you can keep up to date, less people involved to update it. No thanks.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of PDF. I agree with Jillian. I'm just like, I'd rather not use it.
I love that, and I agree as well. Okay, next one is forms are dead.
I don't think they're dead because I use them a ton with school and HubSpot actually after my internships. But I think some people need that guidance, and I might be one of those people. Hot mess, trying my best here. So I need someone to guide me through questions, and forms is where it's at for me.
Yeah, I think they're still valuable. I think that the strategy behind them is just a little different. Instead of more top of funnel, you're getting a little more bottom of funnel because people are doing all their research ahead of time. You can ask them more questions that you maybe would have shied away from before.
That is extremely insightful. I think that one of the things I was curious if people might interpret this question is that a conversation is more possible now than a form. And so in the conversation, you start to collect a lot more information from it. I wasn't trying to lead you guys down a different path here, but I do feel like forms are hidden in a lot of the things that we might say is not a form. So I don't think forms are dead at all. I think we're trying to glean information out of people any which way we possibly can. So therefore, we're still collecting the data, just not through the traditional sense of a form. Okay, how about this one? Company blogs are making a comeback.
I don't love when a company tries to keep a blog going just for the sake of the old SEO practices or for the sake of the AEO strategy of we just need to have content out there so AEO sees us. Especially if they're using AI to write their blog. Now it's just a bunch of AI slop. What I prefer is when a company leans into the thought leadership. I want to hear your thoughts and perspectives on this, not just what it is. I feel like that's what we're getting a lot more of is just, this is what this means. I don't want that. I want to actually read the way you think.
Just write for the sake of writing. I actually think that there's, this is where some companies get too excited about using AI tools to just draft blogs. That said, moving for a moment with you, Jillian, because you're familiar with HubSpot pretty well, I'm assuming on the side of AI tools, have you been using the new AEO tool set that actually makes recommendations of what to write about? Have you used it in any way? Have you actually followed its examples of what to try?
I have, yeah. It's it gives good ideas because it's looking at your competitors and what people are searching. Like, I love that tool. What I'm hoping people shy away from is just having AI then write all the content for you. Like, I always believe in at least, or at most 80%. AI should get you 80% of the way. Put your human touch the rest of the 20. Put your perspectives in there, your thought. Because the last thing we need is just AI learning from AI.
Becomes AI slop, just in such eating on itself. Yeah. Okay. So how about you, Vic?
I enjoy company blogs. My company does a great job at it. They don't just do AI slop, and it's so many different people that are writing the blogs with intent. So that's what I love about it. It's definitely with the intent. And to your point, Jillian, with the HubSpot AEO, it is a tool. And a lot of people don't want to utilize AI just as a tool, meaning you use it to help you, you don't use it for the whole thing. And I think that's where a lot of the friction comes into place because people want to utilize it for everything.
You caught on a keyword there. It's like if it's written with intent, then I think it actually becomes a very useful tool for organizations. And it's not slop. That to me is very insightful when they do that. And you get to learn about a business you never would even able to get to see a certain side from before. But gosh, how many agencies? I could probably think of thousands of them right now. Just basically were writing about all these generic topics for years and just flooded their websites with just tons of things that just everybody else wrote about. And so it all sounds the same. Sea of sameness, as we say. Okay, how about this one? Community will outperform content in the next 5 years. So community engagement would outperform content engagement over the next couple of years. What do you guys think about that?
That's interesting to me. And I kind of agree only because I'm very involved in the cigar lifestyle. I do have the podcast Stogie Sesh. That's what we do. We do a lot of community events within the lifestyle. It's a huge community just here where I'm based. That's not including, outside of Texas. So I think because I've seen it already, I agree with that.
I definitely agree. I think community is what builds a brand more than anything these days. I mean, I even look at HubSpot. Most of the time, it's not the brand that is getting the most engagement online, like LinkedIn. It's the people within the brand, and you almost take that with you wherever you go too. Like, I think the community is more important.
All right, I love that from both of you. So this last question I'll just ask is kind of a twist. Personal brands will become more influential than company brands.
I think so.
Yeah, I agree.
It's true. And I believe this quite wholeheartedly when you think about how organizations try to promote themselves on every social media channel. The individuals do so much better than the companies do. They post anything. But when you have that kind of influence as an individual, how do you train or ask that your entire team consistently push a certain brand out there because they're all now frontline and they're representing the company as a whole? So do you rely on one person or do you rely on the team? What would you guys think about that? Would you think, even with the companies that you're in right now, like Blue Frog, would you have one person want to represent it all, or would you want your whole team to do that? And the same thing at Pearson.
I think it's important to make sure it's not just one person, because you don't want your entire brand reputation saddled to one person. And I think it more so comes down to just who you hire and the culture that you create at the company. You can't just hire people because they are a personality hire. Great to have personality hires, but like, you have to make sure that you are cohesive as a company. Again, I look at HubSpot as an example. They have people posting all the time. Yamini, Dharmesh, Kyle Jepsen, they all have their own personalities, but you can see the brand presence behind the meanings, if that makes sense.
So with Pearson, it's really great because they provide us with the tools to post. We'll get like, hey, you can post this on LinkedIn, you can post this on your other socials. So it's within the Pearson branding, but we're also able to give our own spin on it in terms of our caption. So it keeps it cohesive, but it also gives us our individuality on top of it. So yeah, but at the same time, as somebody who kind of has a parallel career, I do two very different things. I have to be very conscious of the Pearson job. That is my job. That is what pays the bills. That is, that's the bread and butter right there right now. So anything I do with Stogie Sesh, I still need to make sure that I am portraying myself in a way of integrity to where nobody can go back to Pearson and say, hey, I'll have this employee that's kind of questionable. Like, no, I can't do that.
Say it does start to blur the line a little bit between like your personal brand, like what you're doing on your own social medias, versus your corporate brand a little bit. Like, where does that line drawn for companies is evolving.
So, okay, one more quick question before we move on. I'm curious from both of you. So, if you had to represent your business on LinkedIn, would you expect the rest of the team to share the company posts and to repost them and comment them and like them? Do you expect that from your teams? No,
I
you do not.
No.
no.
Sorry, team. I'm talking to my team right now. I always encourage them, like, because I've said this on a few other interviews recently where I'm just feeling like we're shouting into the abyss, and it helps when other people on our team reshare our work because it goes to their network too, and it doesn't just stop with what I might put out or what the company puts out. So having the ability to have some friendlies on the inside that are pushing out our message seems to help carry. But I don't know if I'd say that that's like a mandatory thing, but I do have that expectation that if the content's good, my team would share it.
I think I would see it happen naturally if they are engaged well with the company and they have their own perspective on the content. I'd prefer that. But if it's just kind of a company expectation on them, I could see them not putting the effort or thought leadership through that you would want them to.
I agree. I am fortunate in the sense that everything's just kind of organic and natural in terms of Pearson. And, we all share each other's posts, even if it is like a personal thing, anything that I've posted on LinkedIn that has to do with something I did great at school. I have some of my sales reps go on there and they repost it. And, we share each other's stuff because, like you said, it's about reach and we want to get as far as we can with the reach. And so it's just kind of implied, but it's not forced or expected.
I do think it's important to now talk through about what's going on with Unbound this year. So, Vic, for you, I wanted to get started because I'm assuming you've been to other conferences before, correct?
Yes.
Sorry, if you hadn't been, it's good anyway. But the HubSpot folks have talked about this conference being an unconference. So just wanted to start with you. What's your expectation that makes a conference not a conference?
I mean, the only thing that comes to mind is casual. I don't expect to go in there and be really, rigid or structured or like I can't go up to somebody and talk to them or ask questions or, whatever the case may be. Whereas some of the conferences I've been to have been very structured and rigid. And it's like, there's a time and place for everything. That's what I'm thinking I'm walking into. I could be wrong.
I think in some sense you are walking into a place where one of our other guests said this so well the other day, said this earlier to us, is that there's something for each of the different types of learners that are coming. And that also could be for personality as well. So if you're a certain kind of networker or a certain kind of learner, there's different kinds of experiences that you could just select from and not feel like it's so rigid. So if you don't want to follow the agenda, there's a lot of other things that you could do. So it's not like those very small conferences where everybody must be in the theater and then you leave and there's networking and you're back in the theater and that's all you get. This is so much more asynchronous than that. So in that way, I do think there's some opportunities for you to be very exploratory. So that's cool. Okay, so Jillian, you're coming back. And so moving from inbound to unbound, it's now an unconference. What are your thoughts about what makes this not a conference?
I like what Vic, you said about the rigidity of a conference, and HubSpot does not have that at all. You can make it as rigid as you want. You can have your entire day packed with session after session, but you're going to have a good time regardless. If you have no sessions that you attend to and you're just wandering the floor, you're going to have a good time. If you go to every session, you're going to have a good time. I think that's what makes it not a conference, is that you get to kind of pick your experience. If you want to just hang out at the labs area and let the HubSpot folks teach you everything, go for it. You get to pick your adventure.
So Jillian's referencing the Academy. I've also talked about this before too, but HubSpot's Academy is quite robust and it's free education for people that are interested in getting into leveraging platforms and thinking about techniques and strategies to use for marketing, revenue, operations, sales, all sorts of things, the customer experience. So at the show, they have these little workshop classes that are going on, and they also have one-to-one sessions as well. You can speak to people. It's very hands-on, and you're right there in the software. It's very, very helpful, and how quickly it becomes insightful about what you can get out of the system. So that's what she's referencing. But there's other workshops too. Have you been involved in the workshops, Jillian?
Not the workshops, but I've definitely attended a wide variety of sessions over the past 4 inbounds that I've been to. And what I love about it is some of them are very conceptual and theoretical. Like, here is just the framework that you could work from, but you have to kind of figure out how to apply it to your own business or process. Then there's those HubSpot Academy labs we were just talking about of, I want to just show you how the tool works, like the nitty gritty in the weeds of it. You have the whole spectrum there, and I love that.
Yeah, that's the way I feel about it too. Okay, so from both your perspectives, I was just kind of curious. You're both in Unbound insiders. I keep wanting to say inbound. You're both Unbound insiders, and it's important to think about what people kind of might get from your perspective and how you might approach that position this year. I was thinking of it in one kind of light that we're kind of like the press corps. We're reporting on things, but traditionally that's like we see other things happening and we report on what we see. But it's also this time, I think, the whole point of the program is to understand your experience. So it's not about just what you're hearing, it's about what you're experiencing overall and the kind of things that you might be learning as well. So it could be subjective if you want it to be. I'm just curious from both your point of views, and especially starting with you, Vic, like what you hope to share with people as an insider this year.
Just the first. I mean, it's my first Unbound. Like I said, I don't know exactly what I'm getting into, so I plan on sharing that real time if possible, anytime that I can. I want to do real time, POV. I do meta glasses a lot.
So you're going to be wearing them throughout the week?
Yeah, I'm gonna wear them and go live when I can and just record when I can. I do the same thing with my podcast. It's a great experience because you really bring your audience and your viewer with you. And for something like this where I've never been and I'm experiencing it for the first time, I just think it's a really cool tool to utilize and bring the audience with you for the first time as well. So they're in it with you.
Okay, so just to educate me for a second, you said something about going live. So you can wear the glasses and be live streaming?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize it actually supported that. Is that just through the Meta platform and only on Facebook, or is it any other platforms as well?
I've only used it on Instagram. I'm primarily on Instagram, so I go live on there, and yeah, I can just stream with the glasses. So it's pretty cool.
I was today years old when I knew you could do that. Okay. But it's fun because I've seen some comedians like go through the airport wearing these things, and it's hysterical when they're recognized and they're so generous. So it's kind of fun that they're showing what their whole experience is about, and people are so kind, and it's great. It's a really good vibe. I'd never thought about that at a show like this, but when you're thinking about the networking piece and kind of exploring the shenanigans that are happening on the main floor, which you will experience there, Vic, there's just all sorts of like things that are happening that are, I think, again, very atypical for many other conferences, which are fun. It's not just based on sponsorships and who's on the floor just kind of doing demos of software. Some of it is truly just for fun. All right, so Jillian, how about you?
I personally, because I'm in this like director of research and training role and trying to figure out HubSpot's next move with every update or announcement that they make, a lot of my content is on LinkedIn and it is written. So I don't do a lot of videos. I'm going to try and dabble this year in some more video content. But what I like to do is talk about like what was said and then my own perspective on what that means or how I could see that be applied to all of the clients, or kind of if you're wanting to go down that path, here's something you should do first or make sure you have done in order to get there. Because, everyone's all excited about the new shiny tools. It's usually something you got to do first to make sure you're ready for those. So that's the kind of content I like to put out there.
The new shiny tools. I want to be reading about your perspectives on that. There's going to be a lot of shiny tools this year. So you've been going for a number of years now. I think you said 4. Did I get that right? Okay. So from your perspective, Jillian, is there some point that you can remember over the last 4 years that you're just like, oh, that was really inspirational? Something that you remember, a speaker that you got to see, or any other kind of experience or class that you took that you feel like, oh, that was really special and it's carried with me?
It seems kind of trivial to say this now, but the one that I remember the most was the very first Kyle Jepsen session that he did at Unbound, Inbound, like 2022 or something. It was like things every HubSpot admin should know. It was the very first one. People only really knew him as one of the Academy professors, but his personality just shone through so much. And I'm a person who loves to be in the weeds in the tool. Just show me how it works. Show me everything. So the fact that he just went and was like rapid fire demoing on this session for like an hour was my favorite thing. Like I wanted to see the tool in action and truly what should every admin know. And now that's come blown up. He's his own LinkedIn superstar now. So that one's the big thing that I took away because I just love that kind of content.
Yeah, Kyle is a little mini HubSpot rock star. And for those that want to check it out, last year at HubSpot's conference, he did join us on our podcast during the show. And you can see the energy that he brings to the table whenever he's talking about HubSpot. He's so passionate about everything. And he wears this now iconic orange hat in his videos. And I think it's part of his little personal brand logo. And he's He's very excitable, and he also tries to make sure everything that he puts out there, if it's a short reel or if it's a longer video, it does have something you're going to learn from it. As quick as it might be. So there's never anything that you're going to get from just entertainment value. It's that plus it's education as well. I love it. I was going to say for myself, just to share for a half a second, is some of the people that have been, I would say so fortunate to be in the room with have been tremendous. I think Simon Sinek was one year. He spoke, and I didn't know about all of his books and everything else that he had done and his influence in the world and all sorts of other things. And I was like, wait, who is this guy? And then I found myself becoming a massive fan. And then they've also brought all sorts of other people through the ages from every other kind of industry you can imagine. One fun experience, though, to mention for you, Vic, is do you know an artist named Janelle Monáe? The
Yeah.
music artist? Okay. For a couple of years in a row, they would have this night where they would bring in these musician artists to come and perform. They've switched that out to comedians now, which is kind of fun. And the comedians are usually the ones that have either hit just last year or they're about to hit. And you're just like, this person's hysterical. How are they not a superstar? And then wait 6 months and they are. But one year I was going to the event a little early. This was in the middle of the week, and they had these artist performances come in, and they had cleared out the entire kind of the main stage area and made it into just no seats, just total like open. And it was Janelle Monáe, and I knew who she was, but it's like nobody else did. And I'm like right in the front, and she's basically singing in my face the whole time. And at one point, she jumped off the stage, and I helped her, and it felt like so amazing. Like, oh my God, Janelle Monáe! And then when she came back, she found me, and she found this other guy. And we actually helped her back on stage. It was great. But it's like, where do you get these kind of experiences unless you go to these concerts? It's just like, it's the TED Talk plus the rock concert plus all of these nice little workshops and sessions all wrapped into one. I will say, though, hey, Jillian, I want your take on this one. Food trucks.
Oh, yes. I do love the variety of food trucks out there. I think,
But what about the lines?
you just got to time it right. Don't go during lunchtime. Go at like 1 or 2 o'clock. Just change your timing.
That's right. Okay, so the power tip there is going to be, yes, great food trucks, wonderfully curated. Just don't go out during the normal time.
You got to find the one with a shorter line. They're still delicious.
So there's, in Boston, they have a place called the Lawn on D, and they bring in all these different food trucks from all around Boston, and it is usually very, very well curated. But if you don't time it right, you could be standing in line for a while.
We actually have earned clients from being in line at the food trucks. Like, you just strike up a conversation. We weren't pitching ourselves by any means, but they're just like, oh, what do you do? And you start talking, and then they became a client of ours like a year later.
This is an important take to have as far as our relationships with HubSpot. So for you, Jillian, Blue Frog is a solutions partner and tiered, obviously. They're like in the top 3 to 5% of, maybe I even have that low, even higher than it should be. But you're in the very top tier percent of agencies. So you guys live, breathe, and sell a lot of HubSpot, train a lot of HubSpot, deploy a lot of HubSpot. And so the brand, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, is pretty high out there. There's a few other ones. I think Salted Stone is one. Is that another one that I can remember? And there's a few others that are in that very, very elite class of agencies. For you, Vic, you said you've interned with HubSpot. Of course, you guys are a direct client of the system, correct?
Yeah, so I don't know, it's kind of confusing because we interned with HubSpot, but for like 2 or 3 of the internships, we've taken on clients, and each student has their own client through HubSpot.
Oh, wow. So you've had the experience of both being your own user and also training on others.
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay. Do you have a certain focus area on marketing, sales, operations? Do you have a certain area that you focus on for training?
Marketing. Just because I'm going to school for marketing. So a lot of the internships I've done with HubSpot have revolved around marketing.
All right. Last question for both of you is just to get into what we're excited about. So people want to know how to take best advantage of a conference like this Unconference that we're going to. So I just wanted to get your quick takes on what are you most looking forward to that you want to hear about to bring back to your teams. So maybe Vic, you go first.
Everything. I recently looked at the agenda and I saw so many sessions and I was like, wow, I gotta go check that out. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna be so busy. But I'm just like in awe at the speakers, the sessions that are available, the labs. I was really intrigued by the labs and the fact that they have that there in real time. So I'm definitely going to take advantage of that for sure.
It sounds like the dog pack is also excited about it too, and they're ready to go. It's all good. It's all good. All right, Jillian, what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, one thing I've been enjoying the last couple of times I've gone are the meetups. So if you're someone who really loves networking and just having conversations with people, they're more than just a bunch of people standing in a room chit-chatting about anything. They are very structured. Like, here's a prompt, discuss at your table on this particular topic. And you just get a lot of new ideas and perspectives that you maybe wouldn't have gotten by just listening to a panel discussion, which I also love, or like a dedicated speaker session, because it's just real people using the tools the same way you do every day.
Yeah, this year, instead of doing those brain dates, they have these zones that are identifiable by role, by market, how you identify yourself. They just have a couple different places that you could just go and strike up a conversation with folks. It is definitely a community-like environment in those zones, so that even if you feel like it's not really a place where you, like, if it's not great for type A personalities, but I think that's not true. I think for folks that are not type A, it's still a very nurturing community. So even if you just go to these zones, or even in the academy labs, they will strike up a conversation with you too. And you can ask any question, because people are experiencing a very similar kind of thing. It's really amazing how similar all of our experiences are and how much we can learn from each other, even though we're coming from a lot of different places, role or industry or whatever it might be. There's a lot of cool things to kind of glean from it. So I think last thing I wanted to say for both you, Jillian, and Vic, is you became an insider this year, which is fantastic. And I'm sure that's kind of an exciting element as well. Is there anything else that you want to share from folks that might be listening, that said if they do follow you this year, how your perspective might be a little different than others, and what kind of things that you want to glean from the show to share with everybody on social? I love the first person perspective, by the way, Vic. That's hysterical. So if you are going to share this on social media, you might be getting a true first-person perspective from Vic. So Jillian, how about you first before we go?
One thing I like to do is find some of the hidden gem opportunities around, specifically in the HubSpot community elements that they've got going on. So, the HubSpot Academy booth, I'm there a lot, just trying to figure out what's next for learning opportunities. What are they doing? And then I do like to hit up some of those like deep dive sessions and just figure out like, where are people wanting to focus most of their time, and give my perspective on like where to go from there. Those are kind of my jams.
Love that. Okay. And how about you, Vic?
I mean, you said it, first person, my first time there. Like, I really have to play off of that for sure. Might follow Jillian to those hidden gems.
I just think of like every sim game and every other funny game that has that FPV, like that, first person. It is just going to be hysterical. I was definitely the man on the street the first 2 years ago, like walking around with a camera, but I never thought about wearing the glasses, because that would just be, if you guys saw the me just walking up to random people and asking them to do the podcasting thing with us, that alone was entertainment. And I didn't capture any of that, but you would have that if you did it. Okay, this is fantastic. Okay, so Jillian with Blue Frog, we'll put up her information here on the screen, and Victoria with Pearson, and she also has her other podcast called Stogie Sesh. So we should put the link up for that too. And if we're going to follow us online, everybody can check out the hashtag Unbound26Insider, I believe is the hashtag we'll be using on all the social media platforms. And so you can get the FPV from Vic, and the very astute and acutely focused, very insightful blogging from Jillian. She will share all sorts of interesting insights, coming back for the 5th time. She's in the 5-timers club now. We should get like nice little cigar, like smoking jackets from you, Vic, if we get to that 5-year thing, just like they do on SNL.
Oh yeah, we'll work that out.
Fantastic. You should bring it. You should wear a smoking jacket this year. That would be a great way to brand yourself at this year's show. That would be fantastic. But thank you both for joining us here on the Sound of Inbound special summer series of Unbound Unlocked. We really do appreciate it. Again, all the information will be on screen. And for all you guys that are following along, please check out all the rest of our podcasts on soundofinbound.com. Thank you, Jillian. Thank you, Victoria.